Hey, what's up? Back at you with another video. So, I did a reaction to Nota being on DJ Spoo's The Hustler's Corner. And the thumbnail, the title, if I remember properly, had something to do with an apology. And I thought I would get to the apology, but I didn't. So I reacted to the portion, then went off to go and deal with some other stuff that is currently going on. But I'm seeing here that Colonel Chris Wyatt has picked up that apology and he's just not having it. So we're crossing over to central Pennsylvania. We've got the Colonel Chris Wyatt over there telling us how he feels about Nota Baloyi's apology. Let's get into it.
Hey folks, earlier today, the 7th of April 2025, many of my viewers came on the program and mentioned that Nota Baloyi, the gentleman famously known now for calling for the slaughter of white South Africans and also claiming that white South Africans are genetically inferior to black South Africans or black folks generally, and also that white women are incapable of bearing children because their hips are structured improperly, and a whole host of other ridiculous nonsense. That gentleman apparently issued an apology on the Hustler's Corner SA podcast with Nota Mondays. Well, I had a chance to listen to that apology and see what it was all about. He mentioned Rob Herself. Someone said he mentioned me, but I didn't hear that in there. Nota Mondays, South African Human Rights Commission apology. Now,
and Mr. White, is Rob Herself your friend? I haven't seen videos of you and him. Like I say, I don't know you. I've given myself the opportunity to just discover you as I go, not to make a deep dive or whatever. So he mentioned Rob Herself. Yeah, I think he did, mentioning Penwell and how he was not looking directly at him when speaking to him, how Penwell was just not himself because he was in the presence of some white money. And so, is that your friend as well?
Now, the apology came at the end of a 2-hour and 5-minute live stream. It took a while to get to the apology. Now, the problem, aside from the apology itself, which he read on air, is that he laughed after he finished reading it, clearly indicating that contrary to the claim in his apology, he learned nothing from his actions. He immediately rubbished the apology by using a qualifier, stating that if folks misunderstood his words or intent, he meant no harm. Balderdash. Nope, his words and his racial insults were quite clear. No one misunderstood him, and he knew full well what he was saying. It is a disingenuous apology, folks. The guy is still stuck on race. He keeps talking about white people as if...
By the way, let's quickly jump into the apology itself because I've tried to scan the timeline. I haven't watched this video. I'm live going through it. So, cue here the apology.
It's not a Monday unless it's Nota Monday. You said you wanted to say something at the end of the episode?
Yes. So, I'm going to get this. So, apology and acknowledgement, right? I, the undersigned Nota Baloyi, do hereby confirm as follows. I'm writing this to address the complaint regarding my remarks made in the Hustler's Corner podcast, which premiered on 17 February 2025, and the remarks made in the G2G podcast with Galston Anthony, which premiered on the 19th of March 2025. I deeply regret the incidents and offer my heartfelt apologies for any distress caused by my words. My words were inappropriate and I'm genuinely sorry for any harm caused. My remarks were awful and contrary to the values of equality, respect, and dignity that I strive to uphold. I am committed to learning from this incident and making amends. I recognize the gravity of my remarks and I wish to apologize formally to all those affected. I wish to extend my heartfelt apologies to anyone who felt threatened or hurt by my words. I understand the importance of fostering a culture of respect, and I am committed to turning this incident into a learning experience both for myself and the people who follow my content. I believe that through honest dialogue, sincere apologies, we can work towards healing and reconciliation. I am committed to this process and to rebuilding trust. I'm also willing to reiterate this apology on the same platform where I made my utterances and take additional steps required to demonstrate my remorse and commitment to fostering a respectful and inclusive environment. My remarks were made as part of a dialogue on South Africa's oppressive past. However, I understand that this context does not excuse my words. I'm committed to addressing the underlying issues and working towards a more respectful and constructive dialogue in the future. I am dedicated to upholding the principles of human rights. This incident has been a significant learning experience for me, and I am committed to ensuring that my actions reflect the values of respect, dignity, and equality. I am committed to doing this through the platforms I have access to. I specifically wish to apologize to the white community for my remarks. My words were hurtful and inappropriate, and I deeply regret the pain they may have caused. I am committed to fostering unity and understanding among all communities, and I will take the steps to ensure that such incidents do not reoccur. This includes seeking...
Hey, some quick shameless self-promotion over here. If you love and enjoy this channel and you also happen to love dope gadgets, you can support my new baby, my new startup, my new retail venture, Gadget Plug. In case you've only ever known me as a YouTuber, you'll be glad to know that I'm also a wedding and documentary film producer, pro video editor, and all-round entrepreneur with a love for high-end gadgets like cinema cameras, gaming consoles, powerful GPUs, computers, and mobile phones. And my electronics store Gadget Plug is your new go-to place for the latest and greatest in tech. We're talking real gadgets, real quality, real quick, at the best prices in all of South Africa. To know more about this, head on over to my website imneo.co.za and check out my e-commerce store today. As we officially kick off business, Gadget Plug has stock right now of iPhone 16 Pro Max in 256 and 512 gig at 25,000 and 28,000 respectively. Simply press the green button at the bottom of my website if you want to inquire, and one of my friendly customer service agents will attend to you. Thank you very much for your support, and now back to the video.
This includes seeking guidance and training on respectful communication and conflict resolution. I fully acknowledge the harm that my remarks may have caused, and I undertake to not repeat remarks that are harmful and incite harm. I'm deeply sorry for any distress or division that resulted from my words, and I'm committed to making amends and working towards healing and reconciliation. I'm committed to changing my behavior and ensuring that my actions align with the values of equality, respect, and dignity. I will strive to be a better representative for my community and to promote a culture of human rights and Ubuntu. I added that. I shall participate in sensitivity training and human rights and community service administered by the South African Human Rights Commission. Thus done and signed at Johannesburg on this, the 6th day of April 2025. So, will you be my witness? That's good. Will you witness this apology?
Yes, I am your witness, together with thousands and thousands of others that are watching.
Millions. So,
Millions.
Again, I want to reiterate that the intention is separate from the result of people actually hearing the content. I'm reiterating again, there was never any intention to harm, right? But because of the reactions and the responses, I see that there are people that were affected and were harmed. And whether that person is harmed by mishearing, misinterpreting, or misunderstanding does not matter. The matter is the fact that I want to fix harm wherever I see it being done. You know, those are just my values. Those are just my personal values. So no one should ever feel as if, in my part, I would apologize to cover up wrongdoing on my part that I went out to do, intending to do wrong, knowing that at any point in time I could apologize and be absolved. No, I'm not that childish. And especially with the sensitivity of this matter and the sensitivity of race relations in the South African context, knowing where we come from and where we'd like to be in future, I feel that it is important for me to do everything I can to show that I'm a reasonable human being, that I'm a discerning human being, that I'm a loving human being, and that I'm also committed to creating a better, more unified rainbow nation. The same way the father of our nation, Nelson Mandela, envisaged it, is what we need to live up to. And I'm committed to that. So yeah, that's it. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
It's not a Monday unless there is, or it is Nota Monday. See you guys next Monday.
Hola.
There. Now let's continue. Now you've got some context.
2 billion plus white folks on this planet are all the same. He acts as if only white people are guilty of bad behavior by making repeated silly comments while ignoring the crimes of others like Pol Pot in Kampuchea, Shaka Zulu in KwaZulu-Natal, Genghis Khan across the Asian plains, and endless others. In West Africa, the Ashanti, Yoruba, and Bono states, among others, as well as the Nyamwezi and Imbangala states in Central Africa, sold Africans into slavery.
Damn, Mr. Wyatt, you know, I admire your knowledge of Africa. I've gotten a sense that you've been around the whole continent, and truly, you do know a lot more about Africa than African people, or what they might think they know about it. I'm into aviation a bit, so some time ago, I was watching a young woman from, I think it's Netherlands. Her YouTube channel is Pilot Bambi, and she's a pilot. Not a commercial pilot, but she flies these, private aircrafts. And so she had one where she was flying from the Netherlands down south towards South Africa. And it was very interesting to watch the landscape as it changes as she lands in different countries, to see as she departs Europe and as the land changes and it gets a bit more dry. I've myself traveled a bit to China a number of times, so I've had that experience of leaving the country, then flying back in and seeing the continent as you start to arrive and you see, oh, this is now Africa. Where I come from is China. Many people have not left their countries, have not left this continent, and so they don't know how big the world really is. And some who are black and are preaching black unity are actually not aware how different and distant they are to other Africans. We're not connected like that. Even among us in South Africa, there's tribal differences, and you know quite a lot about that. The Hutus and the Tutsis, you know about all kinds of tragedies that have happened in the African continent. So I just want to say, hey, shout out to you. I respect people who are older with more experience. I wish to download it. I, in my mind, am in a race to get as much information that older people have as quickly as I can. Their experience, really, the information is out there on YouTube. One can get it, but the summation of it, when you look at everything and it starts to build a worldview, I wish to have that. I'm just wondering, is that worldview that you've had one where you've experienced it as a white man from the pilot's seat? You've been looking at a world, an African continent where a lot of the people are somewhat inferior, uneducated, pagan, tribalists, African spiritualists, people who practice voodoo, the macabre, sacrifices to unseen things in the unseen world, supposedly the dead. This is not only practiced in Africa. In Asia, we see quite a lot of people who have not adopted so much the new world, civilization, modern philosophy and education. So when you experience all of this, do you get the sense that, yeah, man, indeed, I am superior. I am the white man. I am really big. These ones are still stuck on these old things, bones, chickens and sacrifices. If all they did was to make the decision to put that away and pick up a mic and get in front of camera, be on YouTube, you see them changing their lives, but you see them choosing not to do that. You see them sticking to their guns and sticking to their beliefs and their rituals, and they suffer with them. And what do you say to all of that? What worldview do you have, I wonder?
More recently, we have the Rwandan genocide, the war crimes of Ethiopia and Tigray, the jihadists in the Sahel. Bad behavior is human, Nota, not white. He also misleads the uninformed, making inappropriate comments about how white people claim to have introduced civilization to blacks when all they did was introduce industrialization. Factually incorrect on 2 counts. First, whites arrived in Africa long before the industrial period of the 19th century. In fact, in South Africa, this occurred in the mid-17th century, a full 200 years prior. Whites did not bring civilization to Africa. But that, of course, is his point. They just brought different versions of civilization. Folks, Africa has long had successful civilizations, kingdoms, empires, but Nota is trying to insult white folks by implying that, well, we don't know this. Now, the problem is, his point is not exactly a newsflash. Axum, Carthage, ancient Egypt, Kush, and well-known West African states like Mali, Ghana, and Songhai all had successful and powerful civilizations across Africa.
You should go to an African spirituality podcast. I think a lot of people would be shocked. I'm not an African spiritualist. I'm Christian. I believe in the Almighty God who created this place. I believe in worshiping and interacting with him as he prescribes for people in our time going forward, since his son, that we should commune with his son who carries his spirit, who carries the Lord God Almighty himself. That's what I accept. There's evidence as well of the devil. This is not just an academic belief. I have experiences. I have witnessed. I hear continually testimonies of people into occult practices who are leaving them, and they state reasons for leaving, that being the revelation of Christ. I've never heard anyone leave homosexuality, magic, the occult, Satanism, say it's for any other reason except Christ. So there's a lot of people who've got podcasts who claim they know about Christ and Christianity. They claim they actually know African spiritualism. They claim to be united with the rest of Africa and its black people, but they are xenophobics. They do not want black people like them. They do not want people who are more indigenous than them, because South Africans are quite modernized, quite westernized. So somebody who's more OG, more original, darker, blacker, more African, they actually don't want that. But they have podcasts where they put themselves up to be the experts on these issues. And you ought to go there and shake up that situation a little bit. You know, just go and speak your encyclopedia there. Dump your mind. Tell them dates. Tell them historicity. Tell them archaeology. Tell them about periods, empires, etc. in Africa, across the world. Watch them try to keep up with you. Try to act like they know. And from then onwards, things will really have changed. I urge you, go to maybe that podcast by the guy, Abba. Yeah, there's that guy there, that wizard who really puts himself up to be the very best. So go after him, speak with him. I'd like to see how he reacts to a white man who has the same information that he does in his black brain.
For centuries. Heck, there was even great Zimbabwe in southern Africa in the Middle Ages. Well, it appears that this might be his punishment from the South African Human Rights Commission. If so, it will prove once again that the organization is not legitimate. Nota called white people genetically inferior to blacks. There is no way to define that other than as racist and intentionally demeaning to the targeted audience.
Aish.
He also claimed to be more erudite in English than white folks. Now, that's a pretty bold claim for a dude who repeatedly stumbled through his typed apology. If this is the extent of the South African Human Rights Commission's concerns, yet they doggedly pursue Ronaldo Cruz over a 15-year-old video because he was insensitive, they have strained all credibility about what their mission is. Clearly, their mission is not to protect human rights when a dude openly calls for the slaughter, his word, not mine, openly calls for the slaughter of white people and then being driven into the sea. Hasn't their dignity been offended? Isn't that rape?
But he didn't do that. He trolled. He came on and did that to get your attention, etc. And you know this. So given that you know this and you are using him for views, you are exploiting the attention that he's able to bring, we are left then with your, once again, attempt to exonerate Ronaldo Cruz. Nota was trolling. Were his words harmful? I believe they definitely were. What have I said in the past about Ronaldo Cruz? I say, let that idiot go, man. You know, I believe in some corporal punishment. I ain't got time for this Roman Dutch law of yours. I think he should get slapped once, twice, 3 times by a black community. And maybe if you all want Nota, fetch him, you know. Clap him 1, 2, 3 times, shake hands and go your way. Let's look at the collapsing stock market and other things like that.
Actually harmful? Aren't those words something that damage the minds, the mindset, the psyche of white people in South Africa? Be threatened like this? South African Human Rights Commission, where are you? And why are you still pursuing Ronald Khuz? Is this all you're going to do in this case? Nota Baloyi can say what he wants. I believe in free speech, but free speech comes with responsibility, and he was very irresponsible. What we normally do is shun people like that in polite society. Of course, South Africa has laws to punish transgressors because South Africa is not a free speech nation. It doesn't believe in free speech or liberty. It believes in controlling speech if it hurts certain people's ears. Well, what he said was just as harmful as anything that a white racist said. So why isn't he being punished? We know why. We know why.
Because he's black?
Shame on you, South African Human Rights Commission. Shame on you. It's time for South Africa to end this stupid hate speech nonsense. People say stupid things, just ignore them. Ostracize them. Keep them out of polite company. It's not the role of the state to punish people for their words. It is if their actions are wrong. What say you, South Africa? Disingenuous apology? Certainly. Cheers.
Cheers. Colonel Chris Wyatt. I'll see you next time. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be with you again in the next one.